clean this off before I throw it off. My name's Stu B. I'm an alcoholic. And Harry, I want to thank you for that nice introduction there. You know, my boy Larry spoke last night. He told you I'd probably take some time this morning to straighten out the mess he created here last night. I told him I don't have enough time. Probably taking about 3 weeks when I got home. Joe, you were screwed up. You made him a Saturday night speaker. First time I ever spoke on Saturday night. Now he thinks he's a circuit speaker. And I got to straighten that mess out on him. Got a big ego on him. But I want to thank you for inviting me to come here this weekend. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I've enjoyed every minute I've been here. I've enjoyed every single speaker. And Don and Greg said they had to leave early this morning because of the storm coming into their state and they want to get home before that. And Joy said she may have to leave and catch her early plane. Anybody else has to leave, help yourself. I'm still going to be here at about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So 11:30 anyway. But I listened to every one of those speakers and I was thinking, three of them ended up getting a college degree, and Victor had his own printing business and all, and Larry, he has a cleaning business, and I've been sober. My sobriety date is March the 12th, 1966. And I'm proving stay sober a long time, not amount to a damn thing. Those guys all became very successful and did very well, and I'm just a regular old plain old drunk that's trying to scratch his way through life, living a day at a time. And Steffi, you've been absolutely wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed you as an Al-Anon speaker, and I'm sure we'll cross paths down the road. And my good friends came down from Georgetown. Sean and Carrie, they're going to stay here and take me to the airport when I leave here. We're going to go get a bite to eat. And Sean, my heart goes out to you because Stephanie is Carrie's sponsor. You're in for a tough road, man. God bless you. Anyway, it's great. I was very fortunate. I got sober. I came to my first meeting when I was 23 years of age, and I got sober when I was 25 years of age. I'm 81 years of age now. So I know what it's like to be a young person in AA, and I know what it's like to be an older person in AA. I've seen both sides of the game, and there's a big difference. In the beginning, look, when I was young, I came to AA, and God's really got a sense of humor. And I was thinking about you were talking about your mind slipping on you, everything, getting a little bit of the dementia and everything, and thank you. I needed that. And I'm going to tell you why. God's got a sense of humor. When I got sober, came in AA, I didn't know a single person in Alcoholics Anonymous. And my mind was so screwed up from drinking and everything. Everybody I knew was Buddy or Pal, or the girl was Hun or Yes Ma'am. I couldn't remember names for nothing. And then your mind clears up, and you start remembering names. I mean, I'd go home from a meeting, my wife said, well, how was the meeting like? I said, it was the best meeting I ever went to. She said, what did they talk about? I said, I don't know. But the speaker was great. What's the speaker's name? I don't know. And I couldn't remember names or nothing. And then your mind starts clearing. You start remembering names and things people said, everything. Then as you get older, I'm right back where the hell I started. I can't remember. I can't remember names sometimes. I was laying in bed the other day thinking about my brother-in-law's name. I've known him for 40 years. I couldn't remember his name. And it's not dementia, okay? Dementia is like when you lose your car keys. That's not dementia. When you don't know you have a car, that's dementia, okay? And my sponsor explained it to me. He said, look, he said, you don't have dementia. He said, look, your brain is full. He said, your brain's like a file cabinet. And when you get born, you got an empty file cabinet. And the first couple words you're going to put in the file cabinet is mama, dada. And it's not hard to find these two words in there. But as years go by, you keep putting stuff in the file cabinet, keep putting it in there. You ever go into a guy's office, his file cabinet's full, he's got stuff here, he's got stuff sitting over here. That's how our minds, it gets full. And so now when I go to look for something, I'm thinking, damn, I knew that. But my file cabinet's full and I can't find it. But I learned a little trick. If I go through the alphabet, like A, B, C, I'm trying to think of a name, A, C, Charlie. So I use little tricks like that to remember these things. So we're okay, we don't have dementia. Yeah, we're just getting a little bit older. So we put that at rest. But when I came in and I was young, the big difference is when you're young, you're new in AA, you're thinking about getting sober, and then you get sober, and then you think about maybe starting a career, get a job. Guys get a wife, they start having kids, they want to buy a home, they're going to start a 401k, they're going to look for retirement plans, or they're going to buy a house, they're going to build, do the yard. And that's all that inner stuff. Now, when you get older, hell, us old guys are sitting around now thinking about our 401k we're drawing out of, we're thinking about Medicare, we're thinking about Social Security, we're thinking about our pension, we're talking about Alzheimer's. It's just a whole different ball game. But we can stay sober through either one of them. Look, I'm very blessed. I mentioned Larry a while ago, and Larry's just absolutely wonderful friend. I remember one time Larry was sick, ended up in a hospital. He had chest pains or something. He was downtown. He rode up to the hospital and he pulled his car up on the sidewalk and went inside. He was drunk and he hit the floor and he died. And they put the paddles on him, brought him back. And he died again. They put the paddles on him, brought him back. And they put him up in the hospital and up like on a 5th floor. And I got a friend of mine, she's a nurse downtown in the hospital, and she said that, she called me, she said, your friend Larry's in the hospital down here in Annapolis. I said, I'll be right down. And so I went down to see him. He happened to be laying in his bed sleeping or whatever. And he woke up and I was sitting on the side of his bed. And he couldn't get over that. But that's what we do with sponsorship. That's what we do. We try to be there when someone needs us. Now, fast forward, 4 years ago, I ended up in a hospital and they had to do open heart surgery on me. And it's supposed to be a 4.5 hour operation. Turned out it was a 9.5 hour operation. They were in there fixing an aneurysm, and they couldn't fix it, so they had to cut the main aneurysm out of my heart, put a little radiator hose in there, and do some bypass work. And Larry was at the hospital. I ended up in a room in intensive care, and they let him go in. And Larry's sitting there on the high side of the hospital when I came to. What a wonderful payback. And like him, I died twice during the surgery. They brought me back, and they had to shut me down after 9.5 hours because they said if we don't shut him down now, and he died, we lose him again, we're not going to be able to get him back. And after that happened, they were all asking me, said that when you actually died. They said, did you see a white light or a bright light, or did you sit on a cloud and talk to Jesus, or did you hear anything or see anything? I said, no, I missed it all. I guess I'm not a spiritual giant. I slept through the whole damn thing. I didn't hear a voice saying you got to go to Fort Worth, Texas in August or anything like that. I just missed it all. So I want to thank Larry for being in my life there and all. Look, I wasn't looking for AA when I came here. I happened to be coming off of a bad drunk, and I came from a super family, nice family. I'm one of 7 kids. I'm the only child in my family who ever had a drinking problem or did anything else. All my brothers and sisters all graduated from school. I don't have a formal education. I got booted out of school. I never graduated. They frown on, getting drunk, throwing your desk out the 3rd story window, things like that. And all my brothers and sisters graduated. Most of them went to college. They got a different degree and everything. And then there was me right in the middle. Neither one of my parents drank nor smoked. We had a nice house on the river, and raised up with the rest of them. And the family, it was really a dysfunctional house, but it was amazing how when I left, it was no longer dysfunctional. But the first time I drank, I got drunk, and the last time I drank, I got drunk, and every time in between drinking, I drank to get drunk. So I don't know whether I tried to make up for the whole damn family when I drank or what happened, but I never found a drink I didn't like, and it was the effect I was looking for. My personality was like a piece of Swiss cheese, full of holes. Nothing solid about me at all. I was my insides, I was comparing my insides with your outsides, and I just sort of didn't fit in. And they say, you want to see someone in AA getting sober, look for a profound change in personality. Same person is going to drink again. We're either going to grow or we're going to go. And I started drinking, I went through a profound personality change. Believe it or not, I was the kind of kid, I was in school, I was shy, I was bashful. I could never stand in front of a group like this and speak. I'd be sitting in my classroom, my teacher said, Stu, come up here and give you a report. I'm going to have to give you a failing mark. I said, give me a failing mark. I was shy. I couldn't talk in front of people. I'm the kind of kid, my teacher would look around and turn around, write on a blackboard, and I get out of my seat and go look out the window, see what's going on outside. And I was just a crazy little mixed up kid. And but when I drank, all that stuff went away, and it's like a brand new person jumped out of, like a lion jumped out of a cage. I was like trapped, and all of a sudden I started drinking. Drinking was the answer to all my problems, and then the answer became the problem. But I went through a personality change, and I became an action drinker. The first time I got drunk, I was only like 14 years old, 14 and a half years of age, not quite 15. And we're going to go to a party and drink. And we stopped at a place. We got some guys that were hanging on the outside of the bar. We gave them extra money to go buy us a couple bottles. And I don't know how much my first ice cream cost. My first bottle of wine cost 51 cents. That was a long time ago. Long time ago. And I bought a bottle of Deer Port wine for 51 cents. In fact, I bought two of them for $1.02. Now, I don't know how much my first Pepsi Cola cost, my first ice cream cost, but I got more out of that 51-cent bottle of wine than I got out of anything in life. So I go to this party, and I started drinking, and it was sweet. First of all, we're going to go to the party. This is like 1954. And we're going down on 1949 Mercury, and we're going to this party. I want to sit in what is called the shotgun seat, the passenger seat. I want to like put my arm over the windowsill like this, make it look like I got a muscle, you know what I mean? In case we see some girls, we pick up some girls and get them to go to the party with us. We're going to the guy's house who's got the party. His parents are away for the weekend. And I started drinking. They said, no, you get in the back seat. I'm the youngest in the crowd. You get in the back seat. So I got in the back seat, and I started drinking. It was sweet. I wasn't used to drinking. I drank that bottle of wine going to the party. And I got to the party, started drinking more, and next thing you know, I'm so drunk I can't stand up. I fell in a Christmas tree garden and ruined a whole set of Lionel trains, and I went in the bathroom. I got sick. I had to throw up. I went in the bathroom. I fell in a bathtub. It was one of them old big round tubs, and every time I tried to get to the top, I slide back down. It took me like half an hour to get out of that tub, and I leaned out the window to throw up, and I fell out the damn window. I mean, right from the very first to the very end, I mean, I just constantly got in trouble and just was screwing up from the very beginning. And I got off the next morning. I went home, and the next morning I got up, my insides were burning. I thought I'd drink some water to put the fire out, and the next thing it just made me seem like I was getting drunk all over again from that wine and water mixing down there. But I did learn one thing about that. I was willing to pay that price to drink anytime I could after that. I found the answer from a guy who never felt like he fit into now. I think I'm the cat's meow. I think I'm the cream of the crop. I am the man. And I started drinking anytime after that I could. I got married young. I got married when I was 17. Most people don't get married when they're 17 unless for one or two reasons. Someone's pregnant or you're crazy. And we were a little bit of both. Nancy was 16, not quite 17. I was 17. And I kept thinking it would go away and just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I was immature. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And so she said she's pregnant. And I had some friends of mine said, didn't you have sex education at school? I said, yeah, we call it a recess. And so she ends up getting pregnant. And finally we decide we're going to get married. We leave out of town so no one knows about it. So we can tell them we got married a long time ago. We got married on April the 15th. I had a son born 3 months later on July the 15th. And I told everybody he was born premature. He weighed about 8.5 pounds. And I told, my father told me, he said, look, that first one can come anytime. He said, the second one's probably going to take about 9 months. And so here I am, I'm 17 years of age. I turned 18 right before he was born. And Nancy was 17. And I wasn't good marriage material because, you know what, when we got married, I didn't want to be married. I didn't want to get married. I was just starting to peak with the girls at school and everything. I was just starting to peak, and now she says, we got to get, and back in the 50s, that you did, you got married. And so we got married. I don't want to be married. And then the next year, she got pregnant again. We had another kid. So I had 2 kids by the time I was 19 years of age. And then about 3 months later, that child died. And I used that excuse to drink. If your daughter died, you drink too. I got all this responsibility. I don't have any formal education. All I can do is get a job working like a punch or something like that, labor work. And plus I was drinking all the time. I mean, I was drinking all the time. I ended up in jail before I was 19 years of age. I got in a fight in a bar room with a couple of police officers, and they frowned on that. And we were in there and we were trying to hit on their women and stuff like that, and a fight breaks out. Fight broke out. They had a suit on, and we're in there just having a lot of fun drinking. And they had the girls with them, and we were messing with the girls. And they take their wallet out and they flip it, and they show us the badge. Said, we suggest you leave right now before you get in trouble. We're not looking for no action tonight. You guys aren't cops. They ain't real badges. But they were real badges. So fight breaks out. Next thing you know, we're handcuffed. We're going to jail for assaulting a couple police officers, resisting arrest, disorderly. I even got a verbal disorderly conduct because my mouth was so trashy. They charged me with another disorderly charge on my profanity and everything. And back in those days, like Larry was talking about, if you wait for the right judge, get the right lawyer, come from the right family, get enough money, you can pretty well get out of most things, except murder, and some of those they could get out of. And we just waited, and finally I got all the charges dismissed against me except the verbal assault and disorderly conduct. So, but once you have a place, you get in a fight with a couple of police officers, you're sort of marked. And you're in a small county, you can't go to a drive-in restaurant or nothing. Next thing you know, there's a scuffle in the parking lot, or they're always hounding you. And finally the heat got on me to the point that they told me, well, what happened, I was drinking, and I'm not proud of my past because I was a womanizer, you name it. I was wild and I was crazy. When I was young, I'll tell you how my whole mind was like when I was young. If you had snuck up behind me when I was a young man and busted my head open like a coconut, boom, opened it up, all you see come running out of my head was little naked women and beer bottles. That's all I thought about, women and drinking. And so I happened to be, had a girl driving my car. She didn't have a license. And we were drinking. She was underage. And I was still underage. And there was a cop behind us. He stopped us. And he said, well, look at this, Mr. Bramble. Wow. And he said, well, we got you now. He said, you're going to jail. But I'll tell you what, we're going to give you a break. We're going to give you 48 hours to get out of the county, or you're going to go to jail. And if you don't get out of the county, next time we stop you, we'll put a lot of good charges on you, just our word against yours. And I knew they were serious, so I moved out of the county. I moved to Baltimore City. I never lived in the city in my entire life. I lived off of the water. Out in the country, life is good. Cops would catch us drinking underage. There was no DWIs back in those days, no breathalyzer or anything. If a cop called us drinking, you know what they do? They take our booze from us, and they take our keys and throw them up in the woods. They said, by the time you find your keys, you'll be sober. And that was our penalty. So I moved to Baltimore City. I moved into West Baltimore where they had all the riots a couple of years ago. And I found a house up on 1800 block of Walnut Street in a bad part of town where I could rent a whole house for like $12 a week. And there was a two-story house, and all those houses were like, upstairs you got 2 bedrooms and a bath, downstairs living room, dining room, kitchen. And you got a concrete front yard and concrete backyard. You don't need a lawnmower, you don't need nothing like that. And a typical Saturday night, you'd probably sitting in your living room drinking beer, watching a stolen television, and your front door would bust open. A guy would come into your house you'd never seen before, and he'd run through your living room, dining room, kitchen, out your back door, and down the alley he goes. And right behind him, here comes a police officer running right through your living room, dining room, kitchen, down the alley we go. Saturday night live entertainment, 1800 block William Street. Just a wild way of life. And these places were dumps. And I lived there for like 2.5 years on that street. One time I come home drunk. I tell you how stupid we are. We're talking about these flowers down here. AA's got a flower probably like me. It's called a blooming idiot. And I'll tell you what happens. I come home drunk one night, and I look in the window across the street, and I see a sign, house for rent, $11 a week. I moved across the street, save $1. I do stupid things like that. And we never worried about our gas and electric getting cut off. And you don't pay your gas and electric bill, and you just become part of that. whole system when you move in there. You're not going to change them, they're going to change you. And you learn what to do. And hell, we didn't worry. Our gas and electric get cut off, we didn't worry about it in the city. What you do, you run an extension cord out your kitchen window, down the wall, into the neighbor's kitchen window, and you pay the difference on the gas and electric bill until you get your gas and electric turned on. As long as you keep your refrigerator and lamp going, that's all you really need for a while. Then we could get the gas and electric turned on in maybe somebody else's name or something. We didn't care. And I lived like that. And this place is all they call roach infested. I don't know if you ever lived in, I lived in the country, a nice clean house. I never saw a bug in my house my entire life. I moved into the city. I mean, the places are roach infested. The roaches run across the ceiling, down the walls. I mean, they're everywhere. And you come down 3 o'clock in the morning, get a beer or something to drink, and they're running across the table. They're everywhere. Nighttime, they get in your clothes. And I'm working down on the waterfront. I go to work, and I'm standing one day, and I feel something moving around in my shoe. And I look, and there's a roach crawling out of my shoe. They get under your collar. You go to work, you know he's moving around. I took a nap in there, and he crawls. And I'm at work one day, I'm talking to a guy, and he's looking at me really funny. I look down, one of the roaches got his head out of my pocket, going like that, looking at this guy, and it becomes a way of life. You know, it's no big deal. And what you do, you get something they call sulfur bombs. You set a sulfur bomb off in the house, and you got to put Vaseline on anything that's chrome or it's going to turn brown. And you got to move out for about 24 hours, and the bomb goes off and chases all the roaches out. I mean, they're coming out your windows and everywhere. They're running down the walls, going to the neighbor's house. Now they're pissed off at you. Now they're setting their bombs off, and we got these roaches going everywhere, man. And you don't kill none of them. They just keep running until they come back. They're talking about entertainment, sports in the city. I'll tell you what the kids used to do in my neighborhood in the city. They all had fishing poles, but they called it different kind of fish. What they did was they take a piece of cheese and put it on the end of a rod and reel and cast out and try to catch a rat. You know, they call it rat fishing. The damn rats are big as the cats up there in the city. And it's just a whole different way of life. And I never was growing up. I didn't grow up in that kind of a place. And I was working in a factory down on the waterfront. And then I knew the heat was off after about 3 years. I moved back down to the county. And I noticed that in the county, a lot of people had a lot of money. They had what is called a shore home, a summer home. A home sitting on the riverbanks. And it wasn't insulated or nothing. It was just a shack with shingles on it, and they would take their kids out of their private schools, like in Memorial Day. They go down and spend the summer at their summer home, and they'd stay down and go swimming and fishing and crabbing and having a good time. Labor Day, they shut the place down and take the kids back to the city, put them in a private school, and the house was set there from then until Memorial Day the following year. Well, I'm thinking, the house is empty. I need a place to stay. And I would talk to someone. Once in a while, someone would let me stay there, but sometimes I had to stay there uninvited, and I would move in when they would move out. And houses weren't insulated. It wasn't. I mean, you could sometimes you could look through the cracks on the walls. There's no insulation in these houses, and you can see snow through the cracks out on the ground. And if it gets cold, you get a couple space heaters or kerosene stove and put in there. And if it wasn't a bad winter, you're okay, but if it was a real bad winter, the toilet would freeze. I'd go to the bathroom, the toilet bowl's frozen over. You got space heaters sitting around. I drug a wife and a kid through this stuff. I'm not proud of that, but that's the kind of person I was. I was a use and abuse of society. And I was living in there, and I come off a bad drunk one night. I was riding down Richard Highway, our local highway, and I remember something. I used to ride down that highway a lot of times. One night I was riding down that highway, and I had like a 1954, and there was a steel car, chrome bumpers. They were hard. They weren't fiberglass like they are today. And I was riding down I didn't know what was going on. I know I was heading home, but I kept seeing these things like this coming up in front of my windshield, front of my car. And I didn't realize it until the next day. I looked down on a highway, took a ride down the highway. I was riding down the median, just playing a bunch of little trees there. And I'm knocking all these damn trees down with my car. I didn't think nothing of it, but that's how you live. And so I remember one night I was in Annapolis at a party, and I got drunk. I came home. I was heading home, and I passed out at the wheel of the car. And I was going down on a hill, And I ran off the road and went up on the bank and hit a tree. The car flipped over and rolled down on the road and landed on its roof. And I swear to God, you talk about God looking out for me, there anything left on that top of that car. The hood's crashed in. It was a mess. The only thing that kept me from being thrown out of that car, all the windows were knocked out almost in that car or broken, except the driver's side window. And it's the only thing that kept me being thrown probably out of that car and being crushed to death. I ended up in the hospital that night, and the doctors worked on me. I'd broken some ribs, had a concussion, a couple of things. And the doctor came in and she said, "You are different. You should never, ever drink. We can't believe all the alcohol you had in your system." Well, I was mad because I was getting married and everything. So, and I stayed in the hospital. Stayed out, and I got out the next day, and I started drinking again. Nothing would stop me. So anyway, I ended up going down the highway one night, and I was 23 years of age. Hadn't been home for a while. And you ever get to that point you're sick and tired of being sick and tired? You're just, your family's ashamed of you. You're ashamed of yourself. And you're thinking, what can you do? And you get thinking, about committing suicide or something, taking this car, maybe pull it across the median in front of another vehicle or a truck or something. And I just didn't have the guts to do that. And I turned off God. When my daughter died, she was 19. Now I'm 23 years of age. I turned off God. I went off that guy. If he loved me, he wouldn't take my daughter. And for some reason or another, I looked across the road, and I looked up on a hill, and there's a church up there with a steeple and a cross on it, and it's sort of like a magnet to me. And I said, God. And I rode up there, and I felt like I needed to talk to somebody or do something. And I went in that little church. I sat down and talked to the minister. And he said, I proceeded to tell him how my whole world's falling apart. I got marriage problems, I got health problems, I got legal problems, I got financial problems, you name it, I got problems. And when I got finished, he said, you know what, you got a lot of problems, but you're forgetting your most important, biggest problem you have. I said, what's that? He said, you're drinking. In fact, you're drunk now. I said, well, hell, if you had my problems, you'd be drinking too. He said, you ever stop and think maybe your drinking's causing your problems? I said, no, I'm drinking because I got problems. He said, look, I'll tell you what, I got a member of my congregation. He said, this guy he wasn't quite like you, but he had a drinking problem. And he hasn't had a drink now for 7 days. And he said, he belongs to a thing called Alcoholics Anonymous, AA. I said, you mean 3 A's? I thought it was Alcoholics Anonymous Association before I came here. I swear to God. He said, no, it's 2 A's, AA. Now, I don't know what I was looking for, but I didn't like what I had, and I said, yeah, I'll meet the guy. So I met him that night, and I found myself going to my first AA meeting. I'm 23 years old, and it's 1964. Not quite 24 years of age. And I walked into my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. I had no concept of what AA was. I didn't know you had to stop drinking, or you should stop drinking. I don't know what I was expecting, but so I went to this meeting, and I looked in the room, and everybody seemed like they were 100 years old. I'm 23. I'm looking around and thinking, oh my God, I get as bad as these guys. And they would tell war stories. You could almost see the blood rolling down the aisles when they tell their stories. They were so bad. And they all had nicknames. They got nicknames like Boxcar Smitty, and, one night had a guy with a patch, One-Eye Jack, and guy from Philadelphia Phil, and Big Bill, and Little Bill, and Johnny. Another guy drank a lot of Bud. He's named Johnny Budweiser. They all had nicknames back in the 60s, And I stood there, I was sitting there listening. I'm thinking, this ain't for me. I'm not coming back here. But I'll tell you what, them old timers, they knew how to 12-step. He took me home, and I'm all prepared not to come back to AA. But he knew how to 12-step. He threw a curveball at me. He didn't ask me, well, look, if you want to go to the meeting tomorrow night, give me a call, and I'll stop by and take you to the meeting. He didn't do that. I was anticipating that. He said, I will be here tomorrow night at 7:45, be ready. I said, okay. I'm thinking, oh, Jesus. Man, I didn't mean to say okay, but I told the old man okay, so I'm going to say okay. So I went with him, and then, I'm a typical user and abuser. I found I could use AA. They're talking about we had a disease and not a disgrace. The most noble thing for an alcoholic to do if he's not in AA and getting recovery is getting drunk and just drinking. So I proceeded to use that. I told everybody I knew that I was in AA. I'm 23 years of age. Oh, my mother, I told her, she had a little tear running down the street. She couldn't believe I'm going to AA and get sober. She had a tear running down her cheek. She said, I won't have to pick up the paper and read in the paper. Unidentified young man in his 20s found floating in the harbor. We haven't seen you for weeks. We don't know if it's you or not. My boss told me I'll see what a 40-hour, he was excited. He said, you'll see what a 40-hour paycheck looks like. You won't be missing time. Landlord's going to get the rent. The kids are going to go to the zoo on Saturday. The wife is excited. The gas lecture's not going to get cut off anymore. I mean, life is so good. Everybody's excited and happy except for one person, me. I used AA. Now, what's neat, they got a lot of phonies in AA. We have a lot of phonies in AA. And they don't throw none of us out. And I started using AA as an excuse to go out like Larry was talking about. And I couldn't get honest. And because I associated with drinking people and drinking places that doing drinking things, after coming to AA, not following directions, the most typical thing does happen to us. If we associate with old friends and old places doing old things, we're going to do the same old thing. And I got drunk. And I thought once you got drunk in AA, you're sort of excommunicated out of here. You can't come back. And someone said, no, I think you can go back. And I remember coming back, and they were nice to me. And they said, look, Stu, it's here if you want it. You know, we'll do anything to help you stay sober. You don't want to take a drink, you're on your own. See you later. Don't let the door hit you in the tail when you go out. You may want to come back someday. You got to want to be sober more than you want to be drunk, and I didn't want to. And I went back to drinking. And they gave me 2 guarantees when I left that room that night. They guaranteed me, if you stay sober, life is beyond your wildest dreams. A lot of fantastic, wonderful things can happen to you. You can even have difficult times. You'll be able to handle them without taking a drink. Life's going to get better. The other guarantee is, no matter how bad it is now, you take another drink, you ain't seen nothing yet. I don't care how many jails or nut houses you've been in, you take another drink, you ain't seen nothing yet. Keep drinking. And I never had a guy or gal in AA come back after getting sober for a while and go out and drink, come back and tell me a success story. It always gets worse. And for me, it got worse. It wasn't even 6 months after I left AA. I'm living in one of these abandoned summer homes, and I get drunk. I've been on a tear or a drunk for a while, and I'm 24 years of age. I was 23 years of age, almost 24, and I've lived in this summer home, and I get drunk, and I went through a thing back in those days, they called it, man, a portion. I went crazy from drinking. I drank so much booze in my system, I went nuts. And I took my fist and I ran through the doors, the windows, the walls. I just beat the heck out of that house. I had my wrists are all cut up from going through the windows. I tried to put my head through a concrete porch. I just busted myself up just trying to destroy that house. And I found myself on that porch coming out of this sort of a blackout. And I had, it was a policeman, a fireman, and my father had came over because I was staying about a mile and a half from his house. And they were holding me down. And I ended up in the hospital that night being strapped down. They sewed my wrist all up, my hands, and patched me up. And the next day I'm sitting in, my parents got me out of the hospital the next day, and they took me to their family doctor. Dr. Hahn is around the park where I live now. And he's talking to me. He says, Stu, you got a drinking problem. He said, can't you just stop drinking? I said, no, I need a drink right now. I need a drink. He said, wow. Well, there's no treatment centers back in the 60s like they have today or a few years ago. And when they took people like us, they put us into a state mental institution or one of 3 state mental institutions in the area. And where mine was, it was a hospital called Crownsville State Hospital. And so I got admitted to Crownsville State Hospital, and I go in there as a patient. And they put you into what is called like a snake pit for 2 or 3 days. They do an evaluation, decide what you are. And you think about it, you'll see it in that snake pit. You'll see people throwing human feces and messing with them. You'll see it, people in seizures, whatever, it happens in there. And sort of like, 2 flew over the cuckoo nest type thing. They take away your shoestrings, your belt, you eat with a spoon, and you're under observation. And after 3 days, a psychiatrist sat down and talked to me. He said, Stu, we've diagnosed you as an alcoholic. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, you're going to go up to cottage 15. You're going to come out of that snake pit, and you're going to go to cottage 15. And I said, what do you do at College 15? He said, you go to AA and you work. I said, whoa. I didn't come down here to work. I didn't come down here to go to AA. He said, fine, stay right where you're at. Now, I could have went to College 15, put my belt back on, my shoestrings in, eat with a knife and fork, no things are locked, shave with a real razor and everything. No, I decided to stay in the locked ward. I stayed in there for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And they had a little bit of therapy in there. Like we'd get together and spend time in therapy, and there were some other young guys in there. And we sat around and we'd make some ceramic ashtrays for therapy. And they gave us some leather and made little leather wallets and things out. And they let us make a belt out of leather, but we couldn't get it until we got discharged. Okay? And then one of the guys was sitting there one day and he said, can't we do something else besides this crap? And he said, like what? Like dancing. Well, look, I've done a lot of things out there. I'm an action drunk. I'm a barroom drinker. I was never house. I like the nightlife and everything, and I thought I'd done some crazy things. I don't remember dancing with a guy, but I'll try it. I'm looking around for a cute guy in the group. And the psychiatrist said, gives me an idea. He said, I tell you what, that gives me a good idea. So the next day we go into that little therapy room, and he's got a little record player for older people, young people. You don't want to understand. It was a little record player with some 45s on it. He said, we're going to dance today. I got a surprise for you. He opened the door, and all the women from their lock ward came into our lock ward. Now we got all the crazy women in with all the crazy men. And we're going to have a dance. Now I come off the avenue. I knew how to dance. I hung at Sweeney's and Judges and Stadium Lounge a couple places and had bands, and I could dance. I'm in my early 20s. And so I got my wrist all taped up from going through the windows. I still got a big bandage around my head. And I'm looking around, and they brought the girls. I'm looking for a cute little girl, and I'm checking them out. And I see this one cute girl there, and I said, he put the record on. I said, would you like to dance? And I got up and started dancing with her, and I said, I know she ain't been around like me. And I started trying to impress her. I'm swinging her, dipping her, I'm dipping her, I'm swinging her around, I'm making moves on her like I know she's never seen me before. And then they had a slow dance. And we're slow, and I hadn't felt a woman close to me for a while. And I told her, I said, I'm getting some vibes here. I said, I feel some chemistry. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go get me a piece of paper and a crayon and write your name and number down and call you when we get out of here. Try and make the move on her. And then we start dancing some more. And and we get a slow dance, and she says, you tried to commit suicide, didn't you? I said, no, I didn't. She said, yeah, look at I know you sliced your wrist, that's why I said, no, they went through the windows of my house. That's how they got up. No, she said, I think you tried to cut your wrist and commit suicide. I couldn't convince her I didn't do that. And I said, hey, what the hell are you in here for? She said, I killed my husband. Now, I know I'm in a nut house. And I'm thinking, I might be crazy, but I'm not stupid. I'm getting me a new dance partner right now. And all I can say is I went through that crap for 6 weeks, and finally I broke out of the place to get out of there. Some of these kids been in there for a long time, and they had them old metal windows, like iron, like bars on the windows, but they were all one big section. And those kids could take a spring off the old beds and take a spring off of it and bend it and make a key out and open it. And they would visit each other at nighttime and everything. It was a great life for them. They loved it. And they made me a key to get out of my room. And I broke out in the middle of the night, and I went back, and finally I was able to sign out and have to go back. And I stayed drunk, I guess, for the next 15 months. And then, through the grace of God, I came back to Alcoholics Anonymous, come off of a bad drunk. Now, I'm going to tell you about this drunk. And what's neat about AA, none of us can stand here and judge anybody else. If you've had a blackout, and a blackout is basically defined as present inability to remember something you did in the past. You couldn't remember you did in the past. We've all had blackouts. And you don't know what you did in the blackout, so you can't judge no one else in AA if you've had a blackout. And so here I'm on this drunk, and I'm working down the factory, and I work the midnight shift at the factory. They put the drunks on the midnight shift at a big factory because the executives don't have to see them. We hide us on the midnight shift. And I used to run around, my last 2 years of drinking, I used to run around. My grandchildren trying to get me politically correct, but I still use some stupid old words. I used to run around, we call them a midget, now they call them short people or something like that. And I used to run around with this midget, working on the midnight shift. And we'd get drunk and go down to the bar, and we need some money or something like that. Next thing you know, I take my foot, put it on his chair like that, and he put him on my knee, put my hand up the back of his shirt, and pretend I was a ventriloquist. And people would buy us drinks. I mean, we do stupid things like that, you know. So here I'm on this drunk. I got off work at Friday morning on March the 11th, 1966. And our pattern was, we loved the midnight shift because we worked from 12 at night to 8 in the morning. And we go to work, the bars are still open, we got off, they're still open. They're never closed for us. We go to work, get some shut-eye and fake our job and get off and get moving. So I get off in the morning, it's payday, I get my check cashed. I'm drinking, and now I'm thinking, I'm living out on the outskirts of the city now. I'm renting a house on the outskirts of the city. I'm going downtown to look for a woman. I need some action. So I'm not proud of this. I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's the truth. I'm not going to hide it from you because I don't do those things today. So anyway, I go downtown. I'm looking around for a little action. And I used to go downtown and hang around in a real nice bar, a really classy place called the Bucket of Blood. It was a basement bar, and they had, they called it a Bucket of Blood because when a fight breaks out in most bars, everybody either breaks it up or someone calls the cops. They never did that at the Bucket of Blood. Just lock the doors, let them fight it out and get it over with. Usually new people with new teeth come from the Bucket of Blood, and and so I'm in there, and I'm sitting at the bar, and there's a gal sitting there. I'm sitting on the side of her. I'm making a move on her. She said, "You're looking for some action, ain't you?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Me too." I said, "Wow." She was sharp. She said, "But I'm also looking for a woman." She said, "I'm a switcher." She said, "I go both ways, but tonight I'm looking for a woman." I said, "Damn, I am too." So I said, "Hey, why don't we go hunting together?" And so we left there together, and we started hitting all the bars, both of us looking for a woman, and no one would have nothing to do with either one of us. So I said, "Hell, we can't. Why don't we just go and get a room anyway, just you and I?" She said, "Okay, that's fine with me. I like that." And so we go up and we go at the Mount Royal Hotel. You get a nice room there for like $16. Real high class place. And we go. I noticed she had a bag. It looked like she had a bag with her, carrying a bag with her. I looked in, it looked like there's some toys in there, and some handcuffs and some different things. And I've been around. I'm not a choir boy. And anyway, we start messing around. Next thing you know, I went in and out of a blackout. I don't know what the hell happened that night in that room. But I know I woke up the next morning and had marks around my wrists, a little piece of rope and all. I saw some rope on a bedpost and had black and blue marks on me, and I was sore in place. I'd never been sore before. And there was toys laying around, and I think I could get the hell out of here, man. And I was so embarrassed about that for a long time. Then I found out, hell, you know what? You can't judge me because you don't know what you did on your last drunk. Or what you did with, you don't know if you answered the door with a negligee on and invite the milkman in or anything like that. You don't know, so you can't judge me. You know. And so I don't know what happened, but I know something happened. And I thought, man, this is terrible. This is terrible. And I waddled out of the room there, you know, and called a cab, went to a bar, and finished drinking. I said, man, I knew a bar opened at 6 o'clock. I went there, I started drinking again. Next thing you know, I passed out and I fell into they had a dance there the night before. On the side of the dance floor was a bunch of chairs, and I fell in these chairs and passed out. And the guy off the midnight shift, he came in and saw me laying in there, and he picked me up. He knew where I lived, and he took me home. That's March the 12th, 1966. Took me home, and I felt so dirty, and I felt so ashamed. And I told him, look, I said, just, it was a Saturday. He said, take me around to the back of the down the alley, let me go in the back way of my house. I don't want my neighbors seeing me like this. We went around back of the house. Everybody's out there washing their cars and everything, you know. Take me back around the front. So I went in the front door, and you walk in my house that time. My wife had a shadow box mirror on the wall. And I walked in the house, looked in that mirror, and it looked like a monster looking back at me. And I said, God, please don't let me go off again. Don't let me go. And I'm going back to Crownsville. God, please help me. Don't let me go off. Went up, shook that drink out. And I don't know why the thought of AA came back to me. And I thought about AA, and I told my wife, you know, I said, I think I'm going to call AA and go back to AA. She said, dial time, she'll talk to you all day. I don't care. There's nothing going on in that house, trust me. And I found myself calling AA, found out where a meeting was. And I went to that meeting. I'll never forget, I walked down to about half a mile, catch a bus, called a bus down not far from the meeting, got off, walked to the meeting, walked around the back of the church, and I looked in there. And there's some guys sitting at that table I knew that I saw almost 2 years ago. And I thought, man, when I go in there and they're going to say, well, look who it is, the punk drunk's back again. I walked in the room and they all said, wow, look who it is. Welcome back, Stu. It's good to see you. Let me buy you a cup of coffee. Sit down. It don't have to be like this no more. Met my sponsor that meeting. He didn't talk about AA. He showed AA. He lived AA. He took me home that night. And he spoon-fed me Alcoholics Anonymous. He put the foundation down. And I had a lot of questions when I got sober. I said, how often should I go to meetings? He said, well, how often did you drink? I said, every day. He said, you go to meetings every day. I said, I don't have a car. How am I going to get to the meetings? Now I'm living like in a suburban area toward the country. I said, I don't have a car. How am I going to get to meetings? He said, you didn't need a car to get drunk. You don't need a car to get sober. You found a way to get a drink, you'll find a way to get to a meeting. Walk, hitchhike, ask for a ride, stay on the corner, we'll pick you up, but you got to go to meetings. So I started going to meetings, and no one told me to go to 90 meetings in 9 days. They said, you go to meetings till we tell you don't go to meetings. I just started going to meetings. And I started experiencing what Alcoholics Anonymous is all about. I'm in AA like a week, and we're riding down the road to a meeting one night, and I said, Ed, you know what? I said, I've been in AA for about a week now, and I said, it's all our discussion meetings. I said, it seems like everybody in the room gets called on but me. No one's asked me nothing. He said, well, what the hell do you want to talk about? I said, drinking. He said, we know how to drink. Do you know not how? I said, for 7 days. He said, we can stay sober 7 days. He said, look, since you want to take a drink, you got a big ego problem. You want to talk, you got an ego problem. He said, so I'm going to tell you what we want to do. For the next 6 months, I don't want you to open your mouth and say nothing, but I'm an alcoholic, I'm here to listen. And you keep your mouth shut for the next 6 months. You don't say nothing. And that's what I did. And he said, that way you don't have to figure out what you're going to get saved, to get called on, and all that kind of stuff. And they spoon-fed me Alcoholics Anonymous. He said, every time you go to meet, try to learn one thing new, just one thing. I didn't know his first drink got me drunk till I come to AA. I swear to God, I thought it's 13th drink or second, 5th, or third, 6-pack or something. He said, that's the first one. You don't take the first one, you can't take no other one after that. I'm 25 years of age. I'm thinking, hell, suppose I live to be 75 years old, 50 years without drinking. How am I going to stay sober 50 years? He said, we don't stay sober 50 years. We stay sober one day at a time. You know what I was worried about? I was worried about Memorial Day. How am I going to stay sober on the holidays? 4th of July, Labor Day, Christmas, New Year's, birthday. How am I going to stay sober during these times when everybody drinks? He said, well, I got the answer. He said, I'll tell you what, your mind's not real clear right now, so maybe you better write this down. Get a piece of paper and pencil. I got myself a piece of paper and pencil. He said, here's how we stay sober in difficult times and new in AA. Write this down. Don't drink. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this thing out. He said, if you don't take a drink, it's physically impossible to get drunk. You may do stupid things. You may make mistakes, but you're not going to. If you stay sober, you can change. But you don't drink no matter what happens. Then I saw another little sign hang off a podium. Kiss. I'm thinking, what the hell does that mean? Keep us spiritual. And I'm trying to figure it out. He said, you know what that means? I said, what? He said, it means keep it simple, stupid. He said, I've never seen no one too stupid to get sober. I've seen a lot of guys too smart to get sober, trying to figure this thing out. He said, look, it means keep it simple, stupid. Remember this, first three letters of the word stupid is Stu. Keep it simple, stupid. And I'd go to work and I'd write those things on my toolbox where I was working, you know. Just give yourself time. Give yourself some time. And that started the beginning of my journey of staying sober one day at a time. I talked about it at the panel the other day, how I found God. He said, bend your knees before you bend your elbow. Learn to pray. Ask God to help you stay sober. Thank Him for helping you stay sober, keeping you sober. Go to meetings. So I started going to a lot of meetings. Now I'm getting sober. I've got a few months under my belt. And a new young guy walks through the door. He said, hey, go talk to the young guy. I said, what am I going to tell him? I got 2 months. You got 2 years. You talk to him. He said, he don't have 2 months. Tell him about your 2 months. You're not shaking like you used to shake. I used to shake a lot when I come off of drunks. I shook so bad, I told him, I said, look, I bet. I said, maybe I can smoke a little dope or something just to calm me down. He said, no. He said, we're talking about a program of total abstinence. This is no marijuana maintenance program. He said, this is a program of total, you don't use any mind, mood altering drugs, period. You may not be dealing with a full damn deck, but you're dealing with a clean deck. He said, you don't use no substitute. He said, tell him. He said, go talk to him. You're not going to kill him. Go talk to him. So I started working with these young guys. And every young guy coming, they started dumping on me. I didn't have a car. I lost my license. My car was wrecked and repoed. So I started taking on the meetings. I take on meetings on buses. We'd use their cars. We'd get to the meetings. And all the young guys eventually would say one thing. Where's all the other young people in AA? Well, there weren't none in our area. I said, I'll tell you where they're at. They're across the other side of Baltimore, a little area called Dundalk. I said, we'll go to Dundalk Tuesday night. I'll show you some young people over in Dundalk. Well, we go there Tuesday night. There's no young people there in Dundalk staying sober. He said, where are they at? I said, they must be in Catonsville Friday night step meeting. We'll go to Catonsville Friday. And there were no young people there. I told my sponsor, I'm not lying to him. I'm just romancing the truth a little bit. I'm just trying to buy him some time to make him realize age doesn't mean a damn thing. I must have worked, in my first 3 years in AA, I started working and sponsoring young drunks in AA. And I swear to God, I'm cutting the number low. I know I worked with over 100 young drunks my first 3 years in AA. Because all the old drunks would dump their young ones on me. And on my 3rd anniversary, I know I'd sponsor work with over 100 young guys. There wasn't a damn one of them sober. But I was. That's what it's about, self-preservation. You do this. It's like standing here telling a story. I hope I say something maybe help one person in this room today. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to stand up and tell my story, because I need to remind myself where I came from. My life is so good today, so exciting. I'm living the dream. Look, I used to ride down the road sometime, and I go, I can't believe life's this good. I got money in my pocket. I got a job. I got a car. It's got real tags on it. I got insurance on it. I got heat in my house. I got food in the refrigerator. My life is exciting. I've had a lot of success. From a guy who didn't have an education, I stayed sober long. I'm going to wrap this up here. I stayed sober. I ended up with an insurance real estate license, a property casualty license. I ended up with insurance license, real estate license. I had my own insurance agency. I've had a lot I did marketing. I did a lot of things being sober, just by trying. And life got good. And I got very active. My wife she went down, she got active, and she was so busy taking care of her girls. I'm so busy taking care of my guys. We didn't take care of each other. I had an old timer one time, he said, you need to put balance in your life. He said, your life should be like a perfect cross. He said, you need so much time for AA, work, family, play. And you got an L. AA and work. There's no family, no play. He said, and you got to work on it. And finally, he said, it's going to move around. It's not going to be perfect all the time, but that's the goal for sobriety. Moderation. Put balance in your life. And that's what I strive for today. Hell, this pandemic came, and I'm sitting in my house. I get busy every now and then. I got to pull myself back. I'm 3 days in the pandemic, where everything's shut down. I'm sitting on my sofa, looking at myself, hell, I got a wife. I got a wife. I hadn't paid much attention to her. And the same thing happened with my first wife. If you don't take care of your wife, you don't treat her like a girlfriend, somebody else will. You want to keep her, treat her like, when's the last time you bought your wife some flowers? Sent her a card. I came down here, I left Kathy a card, mailed them to her, so she'd get them a couple days after I left. Tell her how much I love her and miss her. I've had a lot of success. I had setbacks and heartaches in AA. I made mistakes. I've never made a mistake too big that I had to take a drink over. And this is important, I'm going to talk about it. I was sober like 14 years. All right, now this is over 40 years ago. And Nancy, she's working with all these guys, and I'm working with these guys in AA. I'm going to tell you how bad it was. We saved money to get a house. We bought a house out in the country. And we didn't work on each other's own relationship. I'm 39 years of age. It's over 14 years. I don't know why I went through a midlife crisis or what, but I did it. I did something stupid. And I worked with my guys. Working hard with them. You can't get involved with them. You just try to live like you're supposed to live. Be faithful to your wife. Don't steal like you used to steal. Just live a good life. I go to meet a cute little girl pays attention to me. Next thing you know, me and her meeting for coffee. Ends up, I'm sober 14 years, and I swore it never would happen to me because it was a weakness on my part. We ended up having an affair. I'm not proud of that. Look, I live my life today as I'm getting older. I'd rather regret the things I did do than regret the things I didn't do. But there's some things in my life I regret I ever did, and that's one of them. I don't know how else to say this. I wish I could clean it up, but I can't. My sponsor said, he said, Stu, he said, you know what the difference is between a light bulb and a woman in AA for you? I said, what? He said, you can unscrew a light bulb. You can't do it with a person. And once you have a relationship like that, it's never going to be the same. And I cheated on my wife, and I got caught. And I'm speaking all over the country. She's speaking. I mean, it was devastating. It's a wonder I didn't get drunk. I came so close to getting drunk. And we separated. The whole bottom fell out of the bucket. And the word got out all over. And Nancy and I are speaking all over the country as a team. That's 41 years ago or so. And I went to talk to my sponsor about it. He said, you know what? He said, we're surprised it took this long for you to screw up. Because you subject yourself to a lot of temptations. He said, now what are we going to do about it? He said, the cat's out of the bag. You might as well bring the cat all the way out of the bag. He said, first thing you need to do is cancel out all your speaking engagements and get back into AA. Start all over again. He said, you're not working a 12-step program. He said, you're working a half-a-step program. You're meeting your palisade alcohol, period. Your life's completely unmanageable. Your thinking is crazier than hell that you can get away with this. And number 3, he said, God's nowhere in this picture. You need to make an inventory, and you need to make a hell of a lot of amends. He said, so for the next year, you're going to meet, you don't open your mouth, say nothing, period. You get back in the steps, you get back in the guide. And Nancy and I went to counseling, we tried to work it out, and for 10 years, we just couldn't get over it. She could not get over it. I'll tell you, it was so bad in my house. I'll tell you how crazy we were. When she was sponsored and I was sponsored, we were both sponsored over 30 people in AA each. You could walk in my house and all the girls she was sponsored had a pink cup on the wall with their names on it. And all the guys sponsored, they had a cup with blue writing with their names on it. We leave a meeting, you go to my house, before we get home from a meeting, there's 4 or 5 cars parked there, and we sit there and talk 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, get up and go to work. It was absolutely unbelievable. There's a lot of ego involved in that too. I've had guys come to me and say, oh, I can't believe someone fired me as a sponsor. I said, hell, get fired by 30 guys in one day. That's what happened to me. I wasn't walking like I was talking. And they didn't want to go down with a sinking ship. I've trained them very well. And they all said, I'm getting a new sponsor. Most of the guys have 4 of them. They came and said, look, you carried us when we were bad. Let us carry you while you get through this. And I got through it. It only took about 22 years for all these guys to come back to me. Just be patient. And so it ended up, we went to counseling, did a lot of things for 10 years, and we could never put the marriage back together again. We just couldn't get it. And finally we decided we're going to separate and see what happens. And we did go out and get a lawyer and get an immediate divorce. Let's sign a 3-year separation agreement. Give us time to get through this. Now I'm going to share this because it may happen to one other person in this room. I sponsor a guy up in Ohio. It happened to him, and I shared this, and it helped him. Helped him get through this. I'm sharing it with you because it reminded me where I came from, what can happen to you if you're stupid in AA like me. You want to become famous in AA, do something stupid. Okay? You can sponsor 100 guys, I sponsor 100. You have one affair, you'll become very famous in AA. You've been around a while. And so I started working, get back in the steps, starting all over again. But we separated like 10 years later. And we did a volunteer separation, 3 years. That was keep both of us from jumping out of the fire into the frying pan, out of the frying pan into the fire. And we did counsel, we did everything, and we just couldn't get it together. And after 3 years, we decided let's go ahead and finalize and get a divorce. And that's what we did. She had a young man came into her life, I had a young woman come into my life. But we neither one ever remarried. But it did a lot of damage to my children and the other people in my family. I lost a lot of respect and all there, I'm telling you. It was devastating. I'd ride down the road and I'd go on the side of the road and start crying. I said, God, I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe this happened, but it did. So fast forward, so a few years later after that, I guess 10 years or so go by, and I never remarried, she never remarried. And then she gets to me a call and tells me, she says, Stu, she said, remember that cancer I had years ago? I said, yeah. She said, it came back. I'm in the hospital in Annapolis. I said, do you mind if I come down and see what I can do to be a part of your recovery? So I went down and talked to her, and her boyfriend was there and everything. And he said, the doctor said, she's got about 6 months to live. She's 60 years old. We got married in 1958. I said, what can I do to help out? Will you mind can I get involved trying to help you get through this? She said, that would be nice. I said, I just retired. I got time on my hands. I said, when everybody gets up and goes to work in the morning, your boyfriend and everybody, I said, I'll come down. And I'll take care of you during the daytime. And that's what I did for 6 months. Talk about thanking God for giving me an opportunity to make a living amends. So I'd go down there for 6 months. And I'm not bragging on, I'm bragging on AA and what I was told to do by my sponsor. Okay? And I go down there and we had a process of going sitting there, spending time together, and we still loved each other as two human beings. And how much I asked her to forgive me for what I did. She says, Stu, I forgave you a long time ago. When are you going to learn to forgive yourself? See, there's an old thing in AA. You can't hold on and let go at the same time. I wouldn't let go of the guilt. She said, you got to let go of it. I forgave you. Stayed with her till the day she died. I was on her side of her bed when she died. My daughter was there and all. Thank you, God, for giving me that opportunity. We were at peace with each other. So then we have a memorial service for her. And this is about her. And my son flew up from Florida and everything, and her friends and all at the church. We had a big service. And they're all sitting in the front row, and I said, this is about her and them, not me. And I sat in the back row. The service is getting ready to get started, and my daughter goes up to the minister and says, can you hold the service up for about 30 seconds? He said, yes. She walks to the back room and takes my hand and says, Dad, you belong up front with us. We're family. We're family. Thank you, God, for giving me that opportunity to do this. I was there for them. I got so much respect back from my family just by doing the next right thing and trying to make an amends. One other little story is like that. I couldn't stand my father growing up when I was a kid. He was too damn decent. He was too honest. He was too clean. I said, Dad, you got to do them before they do you. They're taking advantage of you in business. He said, no, you don't live like that. My father came to the nut house and told me, please, don't even use his last name anymore. I'm such an embarrassment to the family. Your brothers and sisters, you're nothing like them. You come down and create a mess and we got to pick up the pieces. You're nothing like them. Don't even use our last name, please. I hated my father. So my past forward, I get sober. You're trying to teach me how to live and be a better human being, how to be a better son, a father, and everything. Making amends. I used to go to meetings, I hear people say, I hear all this love, and they, oh, I love you, love you, love you. We didn't talk like that in my family. Our family was cold. I knew my parents loved me. I remember one night, so I'm sober maybe a couple of years in AA, working on my amends. I told my sponsor, I said, Ed, you know what? I said, I've never heard either one of my parents tell me they love me. As a kid till this day. He said, wow. I said, I know they did, but we didn't talk like that. Our house was cold. He said, well, I'm going to ask you, when's the last time you told your mother you loved her? I said, never. We don't talk like that. He said, it's got to start somewhere. He said, next time you call your mother, tell her you love her. I said, you're kidding. He said, no, try it. I called my mother up. We're talking on the phone. I'm sober, a few years now in AA. I don't know, 4, 5, 3 years, whatever. I'm sober a while in AA. And before I got off the phone, I said, Mom, before I get off the phone, I need to tell you something. She said, what's that? I said, I need to tell you how much I love you. Long pause. I don't know what the hell to expect. It got real quiet on the phone. Next thing she says, well, you're drinking again, aren't you? I said, no, I'm not drinking. She said, we don't talk like that. I said, Mom, I need to tell you I love you. We don't talk like that. And you're not drinking. I said, no. Okay. So every time after I called her before I get off the phone, I said, Mom, I'm going to tell you I love you. And then one day she said, ditto. And then one day she said, well, same here. Well, me too. And then one day she said, I love you too. It was tough on my father. I worked on him. He was tough. But one day he said, I love you too. And we used to get together for family, we shake hands, and we're cold. After about 10 years of sobriety, we get together, hell, we're kissing, hugging on each other, slobbering all over each other, telling each other we love each other. It can be contagious. It spreads like wildfire. It's a wonderful thing. It's wonderful. And then after a while, after Nancy died, I told this guy I was sharing a house with. Years ago, they called it shacking up, but the proper way today is called light housekeeping. So we were doing some light housekeeping. And then making it look nice, and I was embarrassed when my grandchildren come to visit, so Kathy and I decided to get married. And we've been together now for 32 years. And we got married, and our children are so excited. They love my wife. They love Nancy and they love Kathy. And I don't know what I'd do today without her in my life. I'm so blessed to have her, somebody like her in my life. I see a lot of my old buddies I run around with, and when their wives die or something, they're looking for one of two things. They're looking for a nurse or a purse. Yeah. I got both things in my life. I wasn't looking for it. It happened. And I'm going to try to wrap up here in a minute. I got a new sponsor this past week, this past Thursday. My sponsor passed away Wednesday a week ago. And I'd sponsored him for 45 years. And him and I had the same sponsor at one time, and the sponsor got in trouble, and he asked me to sponsor him 45 years ago, and I sponsored him, and he was almost 90 years old. And I guess about 7 or 8 years ago, all my sponsors I kept asking to be my sponsor, hell, they were dying off. There's nobody in my area sober longer than me. So I said, Cappy, you know me as well as anybody. How about you being my sponsor? And we'll sponsor each other. I don't need to be married to you. I don't need a hand, but somebody hold my hand. I need someone to be accountable to. That's why we have sponsors. You get older, you still need a sponsor. So we sponsor each other, and then I knew he was passing away. I love my sponsor. I love my new sponsor. I hope you love your sponsor. I call my sponsor the keeper of my secrets. We all have secrets before AA and sometimes after AA. If you don't get rid of your secrets, they're going to get rid of you. He's the keeper of my secrets. I go in, I tell him my secrets. And he never once says, I can't believe you're that stupid, you did it again. He would go, well, what are we going to do about it? We got to do something about it. I'll tell you how much I love my sponsor. It's nice to go to a convention, maybe give a talk, and if you're lucky, maybe get an applause. You want a real thrill? If you stay sober, and you get some grandchildren. I got grandchildren. I got 12 grandchildren. I got 8 great-grandchildren. I got a son 63 years of age. Daughter 60. One of my grandchildren, Alexandra, going to a private school. I would drive to Pennsylvania, surprise her every now and then. I was close to her, my daughters and my son's kids, because they moved, so I moved out of state. Grandparents' Day, she's in the 3rd grade. She was hoping I'd show up, and I said, I don't think I can be there. And I surprised her and showed up. And I walked in her classroom. You know what she did? She turned around, saw me walk through the door. She jumped up in front of everybody and said, there's my pop-pop. And she runs across the room and jumps up in my arms. Tells me how much she loves me. That's better than any reward you ever find in any meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous in your life. And that's how I feel about my sponsor. I walk in the room, there's my sponsor. There's my sponsor. I would not want to be in AA without a sponsor. I got a home group. I joined the home group when this pandemic hit. I joined a new home group. My home group I've been there 25 years, but the neighborhood really deteriorated. It wasn't safe. I mean, Larry can tell you, Victor can tell you. They had a sign across the street from our church at the front door, no prostitution allowed in this area. The city put it there, or you'll be prosecuted. It became a high crime area. I told the guys, I said, I ain't going back there. I said, I'm too damn crippled to run. I'm too old to fight. I'm getting out of there. I joined a group, like it was a 60-year-old group down in my area, like 8 minutes from my house. And that's my new home group, the Pasadena Tuesday night group. I'm there faithfully. A bunch of us guys quit our groups and we joined down there. I love my home group. You want to see some old timers? You know what the young people call my group? God's waiting room. Got a lot of old people in there. We got 3 people there every Tuesday night have over 50 years sobriety. Another guy's going to have 49 years in September. A lot of old people in my home group. God's waiting room. I love my new home group. My life is exciting. There's 3 talks in AA. The one you give, the one you wish you would have gave, and the one you gave. Larry and I get on, every time before Larry and I ever go to meeting, we get on the knees and we pray. We take a 3rd step prayer and we ask God to help us. I don't know if I say anything help anybody this morning or not. I know you had an opportunity to remind me where I came from, and you know what? I can lose it like that. I don't care how long you're sober. You take a drink and it's gone like that. You can lose it so easy. Just one moment of temporary insanity, one moment of stupidity, take a drink and it's gone. Kiss it all goodbye. You may never ever get sober again. If you do, it's never going to be the same. So I wish you a lifetime of journey of sobriety one day at a time. God bless you and thank you for having me.